How does the nude act as a mirror of its time? And what does that say about us as viewers? This topic is divided into 3 parts, and we've reached the final chapter of this series. If you haven't watched the previous parts yet, I recommend checking them out first to follow the full story from the earliest times. In this last episode, we'll explore how artists have reimagined the nude from the post-war era to today, shaped by social change, new freedoms, and fresh ways of thinking about the body. Since World War II, art has entered a whirlwind of change, with styles and movements succeeding one another at an increasingly rapid pace. The trauma of war profoundly reshaped how artists approached the human body, no longer as an idealized form, but as a fragile, wounded, and unstable presence. One of the dominant artistic currents of the post-war period was informalism, a broad European movement including Taoism and matter painting, characterized by gestural abstraction and material experimentation. Related but distinct movements such as Art Brut, Gutai, and Abstract Expressionism shared a focus on spontaneity, gesture, and raw expression, even if they emerged outside Europe or in different contexts. Influenced by the violence and destruction of the war, the human figure often appears fragmented, distorted, or dissolved, as in John Dubuffet's work. His figures reject classical beauty, embracing instead the crude, the primitive, and the marginal. Many of these artists deliberately distance themselves from Western cultural traditions and ideals of beauty. They turn toward primitivism, using unconventional materials once considered unworthy of art, such as mud, sand, plaster, or industrial substances. In Europe, Antonio Saura used aggressive gestural brushwork to distort the human figure, expressing psychological tension and existential anguish. Willem de Kooning occupies a pivotal position between abstraction and figuration. In his famous Women's series, the female nude is heavily distorted, violently painted, and vividly colored. The body dissolves into aggressive patches of color, simultaneously seductive and threatening, reflecting post-war anxiety and ambivalence toward the human form. Reacting against the dominance of abstraction, new figuration emerged in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Reintroducing the human figure while preserving expressive freedom. Let's mention artists like Sandro Chia, Michael Barcelo, and Rainer Fetting, who all contributed to the revival of figurative painting after abstraction. Georg Baselitz disrupted traditional reading of the body by painting figures upside down, emphasizing paint, gesture, and materiality over narrative content. In the United States, David Salle, associated with postmodernism and bad painting, appropriated pornographic imagery, presenting nude bodies in fragmented, emotionally detached compositions. Alongside these developments, post-war figuration, sometimes referred to as existential realism, emerged as artists sought to confront everyday life and the human condition after 1945. Francis Bacon's nudes epitomize this approach. His bodies, whether male or female, appear as amorphous masses of flesh, oily, bruised, and contorted. They resemble butchered meat more than living beings, confronting viewers with mortality, violence, and existential dread. For Lucian Freud, the nude was central to his artistic practice. He depicted bodies with uncompromising realism, rendering veins, muscles, sagging skin, and imperfections with thick tactile brushstrokes. His nudes are intimate and unsparing, stripped of all idealization, reminding us of aging, vulnerability, and the inevitability of decay. Antonio López García pushed realism to an almost photographic precision, capturing ordinary domestic scenes imbued with stillness and introspection, while Alex Colville, through calm and meticulously composed scenes, introduced a subtle sense of unease and emotional restraint, reflecting the fragility of post-war existence. More expressive and provocative, Eric Fischl often tackles sexual or dramatic themes set in suburban contexts. From the 1960s onward, Leonardo Cremonini mainly painted seaside and interior scenes evoking holidays, the sea, and leisure. Drawing on the coastal atmospheres of his Italian childhood, he depicted dazed vacationers and children at play, using vertical paint drips integrated into geometric compositions to turn ordinary moments into quietly dramatic scenes. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, pop art emerged in the United Kingdom and the United States as a reaction against abstract expressionism. Drawing from advertising, mass media, and popular culture, it openly addressed consumerism and sexuality, mirroring the era's growing sexual liberation. Richard Hamilton's collage, Just What Is It That Makes Today's Homes So Different, So Appealing, is often considered the first pop art work. It presents a bodybuilder and a semi-nude woman as consumer objects within a modern interior, highlighting the commodification of desire and the influence of mass culture on everyday life. In the United States, Tom Wesselmann's Great American Nude series transformed the nude into a consumer product. Using flat, simplified colors and an advertising aesthetic reminiscent of Playboy imagery, he fragmented bodies into decorative, object-like elements. The figures appear artificial, polished, and emotionally detached. Later, other artists explored nudity and the body through different lenses. Some artists focused on reinterpreting art history and traditional imagery, questioning identity and representation. Yasumasa Morimura reimagined iconic works by inserting himself into the frame, while John Corrin distorted classical and figurative traditions with humor and irony. The French duo of artist Pierre et Gilles, meanwhile, transformed human figures into staged, fantastical tableaux that blend myth, eroticism, and meticulous craftsmanship. Jeff Koons appropriated consumer objects and erotic imagery in his sculptures, blending kitsch, pop art, and commentary on desire. While in 2008, George Kondo's orgy composition merges references to Picasso, Bacon, and de Kooning into a single complex scene of tangled, overlapping figures. From the mid-1960s onward, hyperrealism emerged, emphasizing extreme photographic accuracy. Artists magnified reality to unsettling levels of detail. John D'Andrea created life-sized nude sculptures so realistic they seemed alive, while later sculptors like Ron Muck exaggerated scale and detail to heighten emotional impact. In photography, Robert Mapplethorpe elevated the nude to a provocative and highly stylized art form, exploring portraiture, eroticism, and subcultures, while Donegan Cummings' Pretty Ribbons series confronted taboos around aging, intimacy, and the body by capturing his longtime collaborator Nettie Harris in moments of vulnerability. At the same time, the rise of female artists and feminist critique fundamentally reshaped how nudity is perceived. Questions of power, consent, gaze, gender, race, and representation became central. Who looks, who is looked at, and who controls the image? Women artists sought to reclaim the body as a subject rather than an object, addressing menstruation, childbirth, motherhood, sexuality, and lived female experience. Judy Chicago's work confronted taboos directly, while Cindy Sherman deconstructed stereotypes by staging herself in fictional roles that exposed the mechanics of the male gaze. In her painting Turkish Bath, Sylvia Sleigh deliberately reinterprets classical themes, like Ingres' The Turkish Bath, from a feminist perspective, depicting male nudes in poses traditionally reserved for women. It's part of her broader project of challenging the male gaze in art while using a realist representational style. The artist Orlan takes a similar approach in her work L'Origine de la Guerre, where she engages with L'Origine du Monde by Gustave Courbet, but turns it into a powerful feminist critique. Whereas Courbet's 1866 painting focuses on female genitalia, Orlan replaces the female body with a male torso and an erect phallus, keeping the same framing and palette as the original. By doing so, she subverts traditional representations of the nude, linking masculine sexuality to themes of power, dominance, and violence. In the 1970s, groups such as Women Against Rape criticized the omnipresence of the female nude in art as a form of symbolic violence. In the 1980s, the Guerrilla Girls exposed institutional sexism with sharp humor and statistics, famously asking whether women had to be naked to enter major museums. This legacy still resonates today in movements like Me Too and in recent controversial feminist actions, such as the 2024 protest where artist activists spray-painted Me Too on Gustave Courbet's L'Origine du Monde, challenging ongoing misogyny in museum displays and patriarchal narratives. During the 1980s and 1990s, nudity became omnipresent in advertising, media, and later the internet. This coincided with the rise of body culture, including bodybuilding, fitness, and aerobics, promoting standardized aesthetic ideals. Artists increasingly question traditional beauty standards, exploring the body in all its diversity and imperfection and confronting conventional notions of beauty, presenting alternative ways of seeing and valuing the human form. Jenny Saville challenged these ideals by painting monumental figures from extreme perspectives, depicting bodies that are obese, wounded, or marked by folds and bruises, with thick paint and intense colors that overwhelm the viewer. Lisa Yuskavage reimagined the female nude through dreamlike, exaggerated figures that blur fantasy, eroticism, and discomfort, while Zanele Muholi's photography documents queer and marginalized bodies with dignity, presence, and resistance to societal norms. Artists such as Ellen Altfest focus on extreme closeness and slow observation, depicting fragments of the body with obsessive precision. Similarly, Vincent Corpet explores the nude through highly detailed, intimate studies that capture subtle gestures, textures, and postures. In the late 1950s and 1960s, body art emerged, and the human body increasingly became a medium or a canvas, replacing traditional tools like brushes and refined techniques. Action art shifted the focus from the finished artwork to the creative act itself. It encompassed performances, happenings, and ephemeral interventions. In Japan, Kazuo Shiraga, a member of the Gutai group, performed naked in thick mud, painting through violent physical engagement, while in Europe, Fluxus artists staged radical action involving the body, nudity, and destruction, emphasizing process over permanence. New realism developed in Europe, reflecting industrial society and consumer culture through the use of everyday materials. Yves Klein's anthropometries marked a turning point. In these performances, nude female models were used as living brushes, imprinting their bodies onto canvases covered in his signature blue. These public events blurred the line between painting, performance, and spectacle, foreshadowing body art and happenings. Body artists also explored themes such as pain, sexuality, violence, and feminism. Some extreme forms even involve bodily modifications, including tattoos, piercings, scarifications, implants, or cosmetic surgery. Building on these approaches, performance artists used their own bodies to push physical and psychological limits. Marina Abramović pushed these boundaries to extremes, testing these limits through her performances. During her 6-hour performance artwork Rhythm Zero, the Serbian artist remained completely still while the audience was invited to do whatever they wanted to her, using 72 objects she had placed on a table in front of her, including soft objects such as a rose or a feather, but also dangerous ones such as a scalpel and a loaded gun. Similarly, Vanessa Beecroft and Melanie Manchot stage performances in which the body, either their own or others, becomes the central medium of artistic expression. Yuri Messen-Jaschin expanded body art through psychedelic body painting performances under ultraviolet light, transforming nude bodies into optical experiences, while Spencer Tunick stages large-scale photographic installations with masses of nude participants. Contemporary body painters like Craig Tracy and Emma Fay continue this tradition, transforming the human body into illusionistic landscapes or animals. Throughout history, nudity in art has never been neutral. It has been censored, celebrated, hidden, eroticized, and weaponized. It carries meanings of beauty, vulnerability, power, shame, protest, and identity. In contemporary art, the nude continues to provoke debate, reflecting broader social discussions about inclusion and visibility, whose bodies are represented and whose remain excluded. the nude remains one of the most powerful and contested genres in art, revealing not only how we see bodies, but how we see ourselves. And you, which artistic period do you find most fascinating when it comes to the representation of the human body? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like and subscribe for more art stories. See you soon, and thanks for watching.